reality holds you back from what's in your vortex. It's old news. What's in your bank account right now is not up to speed with what's in your vortex. And if you're counting your money all day, every day, you're holding yourself back from what's there. Your current physical status, your physical weight, your physical stamina, your physical condition. If you've got your undivided attention on your physical body, you're holding yourself back from the new and improved one that's in your vortex of creation. Can you hear this? What's in this vortex is more, and the reality that you're living is less. And if we can just convince you to look just for a little while forward, you're going to get a breath of fresh air. You're going to feel a newness about life that is going to be so intoxicating. You're going to get so addicted to the vortex. You're going to get so hooked on the vortex that if people say how many children you'll have, you'll say, it doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. Do you get along well with your children? It doesn't matter. What's in the vortex is what matters. How much money do you have? It doesn't matter. In other words, we know we're really asking you to take a departure from reality. But friends, you said it. You work someplace where 6:30 a.m., 98.5 FM. In other words, the frequencies have to match up. And the frequency of your manifested reality is not the same frequency of what's in your vortex. And we're just asking you to choose just for a little while. We're asking you to choose the imaginary world. We're asking you to choose the dream world. We're asking you to focus upon that instead of that and just feel it for yourself just for a little while. Lie in bed and think about a relationship with anyone. You could pick anyone. Esther will pick her grandchildren. So her grandchildren, especially when they were really little, were really, really easy to just focus on and go right into the vortex. The older they get, the harder that is to do. They don't want to color anymore. Their interests are changing. In other words, they are finding their own way. They are sifting through their own contrast. And so Esther can lay in bed at night and think about her grandchildren, but when she thinks about the reality of them, she knows Kate misses her. And she knows Kate would eye-chat 24 hours of every day if Esther would allow it. And so that's an out-of-the-vortex feeling when Esther thinks about that. So when Esther faces the reality that Kate would like Esther to be in San Antonio where she could play with Kate all day, every day, that thought, there's no way that Esther can find any reconciliation in that thought. So when Esther thinks about Kate in her moment of missing her, in the reality, Esther gets out of the vortex. So now is the subject of Kate off limits to Esther? Does that mean Esther cannot think about Kate? Well, Esther could poke around in reality and she could find other things that are easier to feel good about, but there's this vortex of creation over here. Esther and Kate have created this magnificent relationship. Esther has a relationship with Kate when Kate right now is 7. Esther has a vortex relationship with her when she's 9 and 10, when she's a teenager, when she's a young woman. Esther has a vortex relationship with her when she gets married, when she has children. Esther has a vortex relationship with Kate that she can focus upon, which will bring Esther bliss in any moment that Esther uses her ability to focus on what's in the vortex. That's what we're saying to you. And if you understand that it's this, the whole message that we're offering here, and the reason that we've spent so much time on it, and the reason that it's so important that we explain it in a way that we leave it in the aligned place, not in the misaligned place, is because you just can't get around something that most humans don't understand at all, and that is you are more non-physical vibration than you are physical. And the thing that is the most difficult thing to explain to you all as you are rooted here in your reality, as you look at the bigness of all the stuff around you, you think that's the main event, and it isn't. The main event is over here in the vortex. And because you think that the physical stuff is the main event, you think that this reality that's manifested is the main event, you give it an inordinate amount of your attention, and you spend too much time trying to fix it when you could just leave it. You don't have to fix it. You've already fixed it. So petting the cat is better than kicking the cat. And petting the cat is better than worrying about work. And petting the cat is better than being mad at your lover. Petting the cat is a bridge. But we're wanting to take you all into a much bigger bridge. We're wanting you to feel the power of who you are. In other words, you could pet the cat in your reality. You can heal the cat in your vortex. In other words, you can appreciate the cat in your physical reality. You can create cats in your vibrational reality. In other words, the hugeness. So we're going to take a segment of lunch, but before we do, let us just ask you some questions. So do you feel that you've come further than you've been before? In your acceptance that you are vibration mostly? Do you feel that you've come further in understanding that you are source energy in these physical bodies, and that most humans use their physicalness to pinch off the source energiness, and that's what we're attempting to help you overcome here? We just want to, you've been so fixated on the physicalness that we are just really wanting to orient you to the non-physicalness of your being, and we want you to fixate on the feeling of being in love as the way to do it. We want you to be in love with your lover. We want you to be in love with life. We want you to be in love with your body. We want you to feel vitality. We want you to feel the energy of this non-physical creator that is really who you are. And we want you all to at least decide that you want to let that part of you dominate from now on. You want to be this source energy that creates worlds, walking around in a physical body, doing it, you see. That and we can feel that you've come with us, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to let go of the infatuation of all of this tangible physical stuff. But the feeling of love is so much bigger than that car. The feeling of love, the feeling of confidence is so much more than moving furniture around in a house. The knowledge of the well-being of this planet is so much more than plugging the hole that the oil's spewing out of. In other words, there's so much more for you to feel and know that you deserve to feel and know, you see. You ought to be walking around shining so bright that people are... Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Say, I'm source. Before any of this makes sense, we have to help you to understand that you are vibration, and our knowing it does not necessarily mean that you know it. But we're going to offer a lot to convince you of that here today, because it is so important that you understand that while you see all of this wonderful manifestation around you with your eyes and hear it with your ears and so on, while your physical senses help you to interpret all of that, you have emotions that are the most sophisticated and most important vibrational interpreters, because your emotions let you know you're in your physical body vibrational relationship or proximity. In other words, you're allowing or disallowing, you're allowing or resisting of who you really are. You were source energy before you came into this body, and even though you're in this body, you are still source energy, mostly. The non-physical part of you that you call source, we call inner being, that part of you is eternal and still non-physically focused, not manifested like you. So this non-physical part of you is offering a vibration. And what we want you to know is that vibration is a pure, resistance-free vibration as far as you are concerned. There is contrast in everything, but from your physical point of view, you would not be able to discern the vibrational difference in the frequency of the inner being that is you, or in that which humans want to call God. That frequency is resistant-free. It is pure love. There is not even a particle of hate or annoyance or irritation in that vibration. It's pure love. So when you understand that that's who you really are, and that before your birth, that's all that you were, then when you came forth into this physical body, a part of that consciousness came into the body that you know as you. And at that moment, there became the potential for two vibrational vantage points. The source energy point, which is always pure positive energy, no resistance, and you in your human physical body, which is about whatever you're giving your attention to. If you have been watching CNN and you're all guarded and worried about stuff, and if you've been watching CNN, you are, then you're offering a frequency, and probably a pretty steady, chronic, practiced one that we could even call a belief, because a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. If you've been doing that, if you've been observing your physical environment and you are pushing against unwanted things, then you have a frequency going on in your physical body that does not match the frequency of that of your source, and that means you've introduced, through your conscious awareness, resistance to the mix of vibration between you and you. And when you do that, your emotions give you feedback that help you to know that. That's what fear is. Fear is a really strong indicator that you've really got a resistant thought going on that is not meshing with the non-resistant thought of the source within you. When you feel love, you're in alignment, no resistance. When you feel hate, way out of alignment. When you feel sure, you're in alignment. When you feel tentative or unsure, out of alignment. When you're confused, not in alignment. When you're clear-minded, in alignment. In other words, you can tell by the emotion that you are feeling how in sync or not you are in the moment of the emotion. What happens with a lot of our physical human friends is that you become accustomed to the feelings of misalignment, to the feelings of resistance. It just becomes normal to be overwhelmed, or normal to feel ornery, or normal to feel unworthy. And so, or even normal to feel fearful or worried about things. So as you allow yourself to practice those thoughts until they feel normal, what happens to you is you begin to ignore this magnificent guidance system that is there for you to help you to tune your frequencies into alignment with who you really are. But it's more important than just tuning up with that which is source. It's tuning up with all that you have become. That's the most important thing that we want to help you to understand here today. We want you to really leave here understanding that you were source energy before you came into this body, and that source energy part of you still exists. And when you bang around sifting through the contrast of your time-space reality, just like you knew you would, just like you planned to do, just like the source within you wants you to do, when you explore all of that variety, knowing what you don't want, which helps you to know what you do want, you are offering these improved requests, these askings for improved experience. When someone's rude to you, you want them to be nicer. When the oil is spewing into the ocean in the Gulf, you want it to return to its natural state of biological balance. In other words, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, whether you say it out loud or not. So we want you to understand that all day, every day, you and every consciousness, which includes all the cells in your body, it includes all one-cell's organisms, it includes everything that exists in physical form, because everything is consciousness. Every particle of consciousness is having a personal experience where, from its personal perspective, it is exploring and asking for improvement. That's what the evolution of all species is about. So when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, whether you put words to it or not. And here's the part that we so want you to embrace and understand. When that rocket emanates from you, that asking, the source within you, that non-physical part of you, immediately becomes the vibrational equivalent of that new request. So you just keep asking and evolving, asking and evolving. Now, this is the part that most humans don't remember, but it's the part that when you do remember, everything starts clicking quickly into place for you. Because you are constantly expanding this vibrational part of you, that means there is constant emotional feedback letting you know whether you in your physical human form are keeping up with the expansion or not. If you are sick in your physical body and you ask to be well, and you do, you ask it more when you are sick than at any other time, the non-physical part of you becomes more well than ever before, and particularly pointed to the specific asking for the specific recovery from the specific illness that you are specifically living. In other words, when you live something, you ask more specifically for the improvement, and the source within you becomes it.